Hi, I'm Allison.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're the hosts of the Anxiety Chicks podcast, where we dive deep into the reality of anxiety, nutrition, and mental health.
Listen as we explore all things anxiety healing while keeping it real, including our own struggles with mental health.
We'll bring our expertise as healing professionals to the conversation while discussing the tools and strategies you need to heal the anxious mind.
Listen to the Anxiety Chicks on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Anxiety Chicks podcast. I'm Allison Sepanera.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're so excited to be back today for our monthly Q&A. It is September. I'm a little bit sad that the summer's over. What can I say? I am a summer baby, figuratively and literally. My birthday's in July, but I also just have such a connection with the summer. I love it so much. But it's dwindling down. I feel like what do you think about the summer? Because it gets really, really hot in Texas, doesn't it?
It does, and I just feel like the summer's just been really hard, so I'm just so ready for fall. We had a little bit of fall weather starting yesterday morning, and it was just like, a fresh start. I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can feel it getting a little cooler here, so I'm really excited too for fall. But I am going to miss the summer. I did just have the 3rd-year anniversary of my dad's death last weekend. And it was really interesting. You know, we talk about grief a lot on this podcast, and it was probably the lightest that I felt since he died. I really made the day special for myself, and I was really proud of myself for doing that. Um, but yeah, I'll maybe talk about that another time. I don't really want to get too much into it with our Q&A today, but I just want to honor that. And I want to say that out loud and honor my dad. And if you haven't listened to like the grief episodes yet, go back and check them out. He died 3 years ago, which is crazy.
I was just thinking that. I can't believe it's been 3 years.
Yeah. And I think it was a couple months before I talked about it. I don't remember, but it was definitely still very raw when we had an episode where I talked about it, like maybe a month or two after he died. So
I don't even know if it was that long. I really don't.
Really?
I think it might have been within 2 weeks or so. 3.
I haven't been able to go listen to it yet again, but I will. I think it'll be cathartic for me at some point, so I will. But anyway, just wanted to honor that. And for anyone going through any type of grief or has lost anyone, I'm with you and I love you, and just know that everyone's going to tell you that oh my God, time makes it better. Time makes it better. Okay, time maybe like makes the weight a little lighter of it. Like it's not as heavy. Some days it is actually. But it never really just like disappears. So I sort of have a different relationship with grief now. But anyway, that being said, I'm just really grateful for the people in my life that have been with me every step of the way. And so for anyone struggling, I love you and I see you. So without further ado, let's jump into our Q&A for September. And I think we're starting with one of your questions, Taylor.
Yes, and I thought this was a good one. Why do anxiety symptoms feel so real if they're, in quotations, just anxiety? And this is because they are real. And I think that's the thing that like most people who don't struggle with anxiety or have never experienced anxiety, the symptoms are not imaginary. So when your brain perceives danger, even if it's a false sense of danger, your body responds in a full fight or flight reaction. So and that's what anxiety is basically. It's a false alarm. So when your body experiences that, it's going to release the heart racing, the chest tightness, your vision gets weird, your stomach flips, all the weird things because your nervous system has literally dumped adrenaline and cortisol into your bloodstream. So it's literally like if a bear were to be chasing you. However, there just is no bear, the absence of a bear. So when you feel those symptoms, the sensation is actually happening. You're not making it up. You're not crazy. That's the part that's tricky, is that your brain is sounding this alarm, but there's no actual fire. So the alarm is real, but the threat isn't. And that's why it
Yeah.
feels like something can't is actually wrong with your health, even when doctors and all these people say you're fine. And I like to think of it like a car alarm that goes off when someone just walks by. The alarm is loud, it's real, and it's overwhelming, but there was never really a break in. You know, when you get close to like, especially Teslas like are very, very sensitive in my opinion. And when you get close to them, even if you're like standing by one, my friend and I were standing by one the other day, and the Tesla sensed danger. And so it started recording because it thought that there was something bad happening. So the Tesla is really cool about recording, but there was no danger. And so that's kind of the same way with anxiety symptoms. It's releasing these like warning signs to our body, but there really is no danger.
Yeah. Well, I read this question as like I read it as anxiety symptoms, whoever's asking this, that they're talking about physical symptoms because there's a lot of different types of symptoms that happen when you have anxiety. I mean, yes, there's a lot of physical ones, but there's a lot of other emotional ones and other different symptoms that happen, um, which are definitely all valid and very real. But I read this for some reason as them asking why do physical symptoms seem so real because there's so many times that it people that I clients that I work with, they are so a lot of them have health anxiety. I know you have a lot of people with health anxiety that contact you and stuff too on your Instagram, but there's so many physical symptoms that are related to anxiety that are very real because your body believes it's in danger even when it's not. So your body is responding to that. And you might go to the hospital or the doctor or something, and you might think that it's related to something else and not anxiety. And then they're like, well, we did every test. We ran all this stuff, and looks like you had a panic attack, or it looks like you had blah, blah, blah. And you're sitting there like, no, there's no way that was just a panic attack. Like I was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. Like, I think it's hard for some people with such physical symptoms to really just connect that to it only being anxiety, especially when you struggle with health anxiety. It's like every little symptom you feel like you're dying or like something is going on when it could be really just connected to the fact that your brain is telling you that danger is upon you when it's not?
I think the hardest part is when we think about anxiety or mental health. What's the words we hear? We hear mental health in your brain, all these things, right? We don't hear physical health. So when we are affected by these physical symptoms, we think in our head as rational people, right? How could something that is a mental health thing be so physical? And I think that's the hardest part to understand, that anxiety is so physical. And I think it is something that before I ever experienced anxiety, when I thought of the word anxiety, physical symptoms never came to my mind until I experienced it myself. How
Mm,
physical it can be. It's sometimes more more physical than mental, in my opinion.
yeah.
And so I think that's a really hard part. Is it feels that way, but it's hard because it's a mental health condition. I don't know. It's just really hard.
Okay, let's go to the next question. So, someone asked me, how do I stop my brain from saying mean things about me all the time? I feel like if I had a dollar for every time someone asked me that, or I asked myself that, I'd be rich. Because I feel like that is something just personally to get that out of the way. I struggle with this all the time. I constantly feel like I'm having my own conversations in my head about myself. One is saying like you're disgusting and you're fat and you need to like lose weight and why did you say that? You're such an idiot. You're stupid. I'm not even kidding. Like these are the real intrusive things that are horrible that I would never say to anybody else. I don't think anyone should ever say that to themselves that are real that happen in my brain. And then they're just there. They're not constantly there anymore, and I'll tell you what I did so this person can work on this. So I I literally I have a conversation with myself. That's honestly what I do. I know that these thoughts are there. I first of all have really really worked on fine tuning my meditation practice. So a lot of the intrusive thoughts that I've had like throughout my life and when was going through with my panic attacks like years ago and still like with my health anxiety, they get louder some days, they're quieter some days, but I've really, really worked on continuing a meditation practice even when it felt really difficult and it wasn't quote unquote working. Um, because my brain really has changed. My brain has changed. I have consistently done probably a 5-10 minute meditation for years off and on. It's not like every single day, but I consistently, at least like a couple times a week, will listen to some grounding meditations on guided meditations that train my brain how to be more present of where I am because it's almost like I live now with the thoughts that I know are kind of lingering in the background, but they're not intrusive. They sort of just linger there. They're kind of I've explained before on this podcast that, in my practice with CBT, I really like to describe thoughts as clouds that just float by. You sort of see them, they come and go. Sometimes they get bigger, sometimes they get smaller, or I'll describe them as like fish, really small fish in a really big pond and you're kind of just standing on the side of the pond looking in to the pond and sometimes a bigger fish comes out and tries to like eat you and like control you and scares you and then other times there's just small fish all like running and those are basically like all your thoughts and I just really have detached from them. So I look at my thoughts from an observer perspective and I can understand like these really horrible mean things that are in my brain not all the time, they're lingering there, but like I don't see them every single second of the day or hear them every single second of the day, but they're there. Um, but they kind of linger. And I have just accepted, I have learned to like kind of live with that part of my brain that sort of consistently is like saying that. And sometimes when I'm trying clothes on, they get louder. Or I'm in front of the mirror, they get louder. Someone takes a picture of me, they get louder. Now I know that other people's anxiety might not be connected like mine as far as like self-esteem or body image goes, but this kind of practice can help with all types of anxieties. So you really want to first of all hone your meditation practice and really um figure out and you can listen to the past episode we have which is on how to start and stick with a meditation practice. It's kind of a solo episode I did like last 2 years ago or something. And it can really, really help you understand how to stick with a meditation practice, and I even include one of my own in there that is with my voice, and so you just have to really practice that, and then also you really have to practice talking back to that voice, and not in like a mean way, not being like, "Shut up, you're why are you here again?" You have to be really compassionate. So for my body image, I will say to myself, "You are beautiful just as you are." Um, Everybody's body is different. You are safe in your body. Your body has done so much wonderful things for you. Your body takes you on walks every day. Um, you know, your stomach digests amazing healthy food. And so like I thank my body parts. I say thank you to my stomach and I say thank you to my legs and I say thank you to my brain. I say thank you every day that I'm awake and I come into this world and I try and just be loving with myself and say, okay, you're just having a moment right now and you're feeling really insecure and you're feeling like your anxiety is heightening. You're feeling like your heart is racing. And I acknowledge all that. And I ask myself, what do you need right now? And sometimes I say, you know what? I just need to put on sweatpants and I need to lay down. Maybe I do need to do a meditation. Maybe I need to breathe. Maybe I need to leave and just take a walk and talk to my dad, in heaven. Maybe I need to call someone. So I go into my toolkit. But the biggest thing is how you talk to yourself in those moments. Because your anxiety is going to make you feel like you're ashamed and something's wrong with you and you're damaged and you're terrible. And you have to remind yourself logically of all of the amazing things about you. And that it's a part of you that's trying to protect you also, right? Anxiety can be really helpful. It's just unfortunately with a lot of our brains we don't need to be protected in moments when we're just sitting on the couch. We're actually safe, even though our brain is sort of trying to create something. So I would say definitely listen to that previous podcast of mine and also start learning how to do a self-love work and really talk to yourself, um, in a really compassionate and kind way.
Yeah, and I feel like when you start meditation, even just the practice of it, your brain can actually feel the meanest because it starts kind of recognizing that, hey, we are in silence, maybe for the first time in a long time, because we live in constant distraction. So when we begin to slow down, we might hear things a lot louder. And I think, like I've said in maybe the past 2 or 3 episodes, that always pushed me away from meditation and yoga because the silence was really loud. And I didn't want to feel that. But I realized going into that and allowing that, you're going to uncover a lot more about your struggles and what you need to still work on and what still comes up for you, and it kind of gives you the meat and potatoes of what's still going on. And so definitely if meditation feels like a lot for you at first, stick with it because it's I mean, there's science behind it. And not just science. Look at the way you feel before and after a session. Look at the way you feel when you exit a yoga room versus exiting a hit fitness class. I know for me, when I exit yoga, like Surrender Yin, I went last night. And when I left the room, my body felt light.
Mhm.
Now, when I leave a hit workout, I feel those endorphins. I feel good, but it's more of like a high, right? Like when I leave Surrender Yin, it's more you just feel light and you almost let a lot off your chest, kind of like when you leave a therapy session. But yeah,
Yep.
I just recommend
Yeah,
sticking with it.
I mean, they don't call it a practice for nothing. I mean, they call it a meditation practice, a yoga practice. It's a practice. So it's not something that anyone, should go into thinking, I need to do this perfectly. It's actually that will not get you anywhere if you do that. And like you said, this is these are very uncomfortable practices because if people are not used to silence and when they are, first of all, that's why I don't really like silent meditation. I like a guided meditation because I feel like a coach is actually helping me rewire my brain as I meditate. They're sort of redirecting the way that I'm thinking and my intrusive thoughts to actually create new pathways. So guided meditation is the way to go, I would say. Um, but you're going to feel uncomfortable at first. Like you're going to feel uncomfortable, and that's the basis of treatment with anxiety is to sit with discomfort and know that like you're not going to have the answers and you're not always going to be in control. And so you got to sit with that. And those practices teach you that, but you have to practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. Okay, next question. And this one was actually very interesting to me. What's something anxiety stole from you that you are taking back? So I think at first, anxiety stole every bit of joy in my life. Anything that seemed fun or exciting seemed dangerous. So that's what happened at first. And I would say, as I started going through my journey of helping my anxiety, I started being able to not handle, but enjoy the things I used to enjoy, minus traveling. So traveling is something that anxiety has really stole from me that I'm even working through right now. Like, do I actually not like travel, or does anxiety make me not want to like travel because live in fear of what ifs? Because a lot of times I'll say things like, I have no desire to go to another country. I have no desire to do this. I have no desire to do that. I'm just not someone who loves travel. I say a lot of things like that, but I'm kind of uncovering that I maybe do like traveling, and it's fear and the anxiety that is making me say, we're good. We're good. We're safe here. It's good to stay here. It's safe here. So that's something I'm currently working through. I would say that's a really big piece of something anxiety has completely taken from me is probably, within, let's see, I've really had a control of my panic attacks and anxiety and felt like I've been like living for the last since what 2017, but I feel like from 2017 to now 2025 I have anxiety has stolen the enjoyment of travel for me and the ability to
Mhm.
be like I really dream about going here or I really am excited for this trip, like the ability to feel that anxiety has taken that from me. So that is something I am currently working on. Allison, I'm curious with you, what has anxiety taken from you that you're working on taking back?
Yeah, I mean, travel's up there for me too. I'm recently though It's really only just, like, flying. I could drive anywhere, but it really is flying, and because I really don't wanna do it by myself,
What about,
and
like, another country?
oh, yeah, I mean, I would love to get yes. So my friend
For
is
you,
actually
it's just the flight, though?
it's really just going with someone on the flight. Like, I don't
Okay.
want to although my really good friend is moving to Rome for, like, 5 years next year, and I, like, promised myself I'm gonna go see her in Rome. So whether I'm with someone or
Moving to
not
Rome. I
yeah,
want
her
that level of I want that level of peace to where I could
her
just pack up my life and move to Rome.
I know. Her and her husband has a very, very cool job, and, they're actually moving for his job. So and they've two little girls, and, they're used to, like, kinda moving around, but their placement this time around is Rome, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm not going there." So, I really wanna push myself, but, I'm gonna yeah, I also financial stuff isn't not an issue, but, like, you have to plan for, like, if I'm
Yeah.
doing it alone, I have to I wanna, save up, but travel definitely, and then I would say and this is not I'm not saying this in a way that's making me I don't want anyone to pity me or, like, feel sad for me or anything. This has all been, like, the way my life is supposed to go, I think, but in the last, like, 10, 20 years, definitely, like, dating. It has really, like, stolen a lot of, like, my anxious attachment has really, I think, kept me from, like, meeting the person I'm supposed to meet. Um,
We
and
need an update episode on that. I feel like for
yeah.
the longest time, we were really up to date with Allison's dating life, and now we haven't had an update in, like
Maybe we could do an update next week. We could do that because I have a little bit of an update, so we'll see. Yeah, just a tad, just a tad. But yeah, no, I want to. So in the next either next week or the week after, we're doing an update. But yeah, I will say that. And I don't know. I think that's probably
I would feel like having kids is also added to mine. I
yeah,
think it's taken
yeah,
I think I would have had kids a lot sooner.
yeah.
But I just feel like there's still I feel like, if I didn't have anxiety, I'm so mature and I'm so much older for my age. I for sure would have had kids around, like, 26.
Mm.
But I feel like I knew within myself that there was still so much I needed to work on, because the last thing I wanna do is ever pass on my trauma and my anxiety and my OCD tendencies, because that's how it is. Like, a kid, like, what do you say? What do you call it? It's a mirror. They mirror the parent. They mirror what they see,
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
I just know that that also is probably not a good thing, just needing, like, perfection before you're ready, and it's like, are we ever ready? And so
No.
working through all that, like, no one's perfect. You're gonna do a lot of things that are gonna mess kids up in some way or another, and that's life, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, and that's one too, I think, kids for me, but I go back and forth so much thinking, like, my mental health, with that other type of huge stressor of kids, I don't know, though, because I'm not married or anything, so I might
you
change
froze
my
your eggs though,
mind.
right?
I did. So, like, I don't know what I would have been or what will be. I mean, I'm too old. I really don't wanna, like, raise a child at this point, I'm sorry. Being this old and, like, exhausted, it's just not in the cards, I don't think, but I also never really grew up having that real desire to have children. So, I always go back and forth. I'm like, "Well, maybe it's, like, some of my anxiety," but, like, I really just don't think I
Maybe you're
ever
meant to be
really
a stepmom, you know?
yeah. No, I've thought about that. Or like I love being involved in my niece and nephew's lives, but that my girlfriends that don't have kids, they feel the same way. Like they just never had like I'm very maternal, but they never had this like desire to be like
Mhm.
have their own kids. And so many women are like coming forward talking about that. And I love it because it's so relatable now. So I'm less about, like, it's my anxiety versus,
Mhm.
like, I think just really a choice that I've never felt called to do.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if it's been, like, stolen from me because it's definitely been, like, a choice. And also there's other ways to, like, have kids if I don't
Mhm.
wanna I have, like, froze my like, I can use, like, someone else to carry it for me, or I could maybe, like, try and get some help if I need it, there's other ways that, like, my anxiety
It's
attaches
always
to.
an option. Yeah.
So, anyway, I like that question.
I totally see you being a stepmom. I don't know why. Just I totally see it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like someone
totally.
who
Maybe
like they didn't choose that life for them. Like I feel like you see people, you see the good in people, and like I think sometimes people they get married young, then they reach 40 and they're like, "Hey, it's not working between us and now we have to separate and we have this 5-year-old and oh, who's going to want me now? I
Mhm.
have a 5-year-old." And then there's people like you who I feel like are very understanding and you get it.
Yeah, I love kids so much too. I actually when I talk about dating, well, I'll leave it for that
Yeah.
episode. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Next question. Why does my stomach hurt when I get worried and can you teach me a trick to make it feel better? Okay. Actually, yes, because this is like my most prominent symptom of anxiety for me is my stomach. I have it down to like a science when I know I'm getting anxious because of my stomach. So my stomach is basically my biggest physical symptom, and the couple things that are literally the most effective when I feel like it's not just butterflies. I feel really nauseous. Sometimes there's cramps. I have reflux, so sometimes I'm getting like indigestion. Like I just know when that's happening. I breathe. So I literally have taught myself how to breathe differently from my belly. And so when I do feel that in my stomach, I literally take a break. I step back from whatever it is and I literally say, you have to breathe from your stomach right now. And I breathe in through my nose, watch my belly rise, and then I breathe out through my mouth. And I'm not even kidding. It's so crazy how much it helps. And a lot of times when I breathe out, by the way, I breathe out in a way that sounds like an ocean. So it's called ujjayi breathing in the yoga world. And so you can do this with your nose too, which I love. So it sounds kind of like an ocean. We're going to do a little ASMR. So it sounds like this. So kind of like an ocean. It's almost like if you're like you're breathing from your stomach, but it's
Okay,
different.
so if
I
people aren't watching visually, you keep your mouth
okay.
closed.
Yes, that's if it's through your nose. But if you want to do it through your mouth, you can breathe in through your nose and then almost like you're breathing on glass, like you wanna,
Like you're
cloud up
cleaning glasses?
yeah, like you're clean yeah, 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 yeah. Like
Okay.
you're clouding up a glass so to write on it or you're cleaning your glasses, and you breathe in through your nose, and then you like you're breathing on glasses to clean them. And ugh, it is honestly I mean, even just doing it just then, it does something for it regulates your nervous system. It helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system like crazy. It's awesome. Ujjayi breath.
This specific breathing pattern.
Yes, ujjayi
Ujjayi.
breathing. And if you
Ujjayi.
are in a yoga studio that is really connected to what yoga is supposed to be in the Eastern world with the body and the breath connection, then you will have heard of this. And if not, you want to try and find a studio like that. But it is amazing. And then also belly breathing. You want to make sure your belly is rising and falling when you're breathing. Um,
Wait, regarding yoga, hang on, let's pause there. I have a
yeah.
funny story about this because I invited my brother to one of my yoga classes and he was like, "Oh, is this going to be really hard?" Because I feel like a lot of people, their first experience with yoga might be like a vinyasa, like where you're
Or like
flying all around,
hot yoga, yeah.
like a hot flow vinyasa where you're flying around. You can't even focus on your breath work because you're having to do so many movements. And
Yeah.
like, that's a beautiful type of breath work. But I feel like for someone with anxiety, I highly recommend you try something with more of like meditation and breath work connected to where you
Mhm.
can like really center yourself and slow down. So that's kind of what Allison's talking about because I feel like a lot of people they try that like hot vinyasa at first and they're like, this is the absolute opposite of peaceful.
By the way, that pretty much is like the only way that yoga is performed in the world, like making it like a workout exercise with calories in the US. Like literally the US is the only place, I mean not
I'm not
only,
shocked.
but like most like the country with the most yoga practices that have nothing to do with matching the breath and the body and the meditative experience, which it's literally supposed to be,
Mhm.
and makes it into like a workout where it should be a workout for your brain and your nervous system, not like you having to like do a hit
I
class in
agree
yoga. It's just
wholeheartedly.
not. It's not.
Yes. When I go to yoga, I'm not even thinking of the word workout. Like, I'm
Yeah.
literally like, I am here for my nervous system and my mind. This is a moment of, like, clarity for me, not a moment of, "Oh, how many calories are we gonna burn?" Like, you literally should not walk into yoga thinking that.
And it is literally now since that's huge in my toolkit. And now that I've been doing it for years and years, um, when I go to a class for an hour, maybe even a little longer, I'm not even kidding. My brain almost like stops.
Yes.
It stops. I am focused on my poses, but not in like a perfectionistic way. I'm really focused on feeling strong and like breathing. I'm focusing on my breathing a lot. The teachers that I have at Yoga Home are like insanely talented and they're so spiritual and they incorporate so much of their own personality and their personal stories into the class as we're doing these exercises, and they give so much permission on to like listen to your body and to really just do what feels right for you. Sometimes I'll just spend like half the class in child's pose. um, it's yeah, that's what your experience really should be with it. So it should not be intimidating. It should not be a place of judgment. It should be a safe space, and everyone I meet at this yoga studio is literally my like soul person. Like I love everyone I meet. We're so
You know
aligned.
why? Because you feel connected to them, because you know that all those people there, I feel like people who actually surrender themselves to this type of yoga and this type of breath work, they all come from a place of, I know pain, I know suffering, I know
Mhm.
chaos, and I'm here to heal myself and I'm focused on healing. That's what I've noticed about the community too. It's a group of people who have felt maybe not exactly what you have felt, but they have felt something. And they're there to fix that something, whether it be like a trauma or something. They're there to release and surrender. And I think that's the coolest part of the community when you actually like feel the energy around you of the people and even people just practicing breath work around you, you feel like legit energy of
Yeah.
just people wanting to enter this place of healing. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it, but you
Yep.
know what you know what I'm saying.
Totally. And anyone listening that's had that experience knows too. So
Yes.
I would say definitely, if you get a chance to do, like, a gentle yoga class, start there, or basics class, start there, but that has been huge for my stomach, and then also another thing is peppermint oil. So I have had this organic essential oil from Rocky Mountain Oils, this one oil for, like I mean, I got new ones, but this is the only one I actually use for, like, over 6 years, 7 years, and I literally bring it everywhere with me. It is I smell it. Sometimes I'll put it in the inside of my wrists, sometimes I'll put it, like, right underneath my boobs, like, right in the center of, like, where I feel my indigestion. Sometimes I will put it on the bottom of my feet because that's where a lot of the nerve endings are. Um, that can kinda help regulate yourself, so my peppermint oil is huge, and then I'll also keep some, like, ginger chews, I'll have some ginger tea, like, all those things that kinda help with nausea, but really, I'll just listen to my body and breathe. That's the best part.
Yeah, peppermint oil is awesome for a lot of things, even if you're having, like, a tension headache, rolling it on your temples, and even if you're, like, having a hot flash, you can use it, it's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, next question. What Bible verses helped you the most in moments of panic? For me, it is Psalm 23. If you've never heard the song Still Waters by, let me see who it is. Sometimes songs are a little bit easier than just like memorizing Bible verses, but the song Still Waters by Leanna Crawford is like my go to. Anyways, the scriptures, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. This psalm reminds me when I'm walking through the valley, I'm not walking alone. I'm never walking alone. I'm being guided like a shepherd is guiding me, leading and by calm waters, back to stillness and back to safety. I literally imagine the still waters when my heart is racing or when I feel anxious. And I feel it's like God saying, I will steady what feels unsteady and I will restore what feels broken. And so I actually had to get an MRI the other day, and I literally before I was the night before I was like, I know I'm going to get there and I'm going to leave. I'm not going to do it because it was an MRI of my brain. And if any of you have had an MRI, I have had one of my ankle and I almost left that. And so I knew what was to come. I knew I was going to be put into a tube. And worst thing is I get there and they're like, yeah, you can't even listen to music in this one because your head's going in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I at least got to listen to music when I had my ankle done.
Mm.
And so I literally had to surrender. I was
Wow.
literally put into a tube with the, if you've had an MRI, you know the noises. You can almost hear them
Mhm.
like PTSD.
Mhm.
And the whole time I just reminded myself of that scripture and how I'm being the still waters surrounding me. And I literally felt no panic in my body. I felt a sense
For
of
you.
peace that I can't explain. And I know that that's nothing other than God when I felt that way. And so I made it through. I remember when they were like, all right, you're going into the tube and you have that like little button in your hand. I'm like, okay, I'm about to squeeze it. I'm out of here. I'm peacing out. And then I just had to center myself. And another tip for if you have to get an MRI is have someone go with you and advocate for yourself. So I actually was able to have my husband go with me, and he got to go in the room with me, which you can literally, it's an MRI, there's no radiation. He was able to just like even touch my foot and my ankle. And just that like centering of somebody being there, knowing, hey, you're here, you're safe. It really
That's
helps. So
awesome.
advocate for yourself. They were
Yes.
even like, I don't know if he can. Like they were acting that way and I knew he could. And one of the
Mm.
ladies was kind of mean and I was like, whatever. And then I was nervous. I'm like, oh, she's my tech. And then they took me to the back and I actually had this dude and he was so cool and so nice. And I could tell he really knew about mental health because I walk in and the first thing I say to him is, I'm anxious. And he was like, hey,
Yeah.
just know like we're going to shut off all your senses. Keep your eyes closed. That actually plays a trick on your brain. Behind this wall, we have me and another guy, and there's literally a paramedic back there. You're completely safe in this room. I was like, dude, you know what's up. Like this guy knew
Wow.
how to work with people. And
Ugh.
so it was just, it was a very, I was very worried about it, but it
Yeah.
ended up being a pretty good experience. But
Wow. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. Good for
yeah.
you. That is, I mean, anyone listening that knows about MRIs and
Yeah.
knows about anything like that, they're no joke. And so I
I
love
was
that.
thinking, how is it 2025 and we're still going into this tube with I'm like, am I at combat? Am I in war right
So
now?
yeah, who the seriously, who the heck knows? But
Oh,
I'm so glad too that, your faith really gets you through a lot. I think that
yeah.
that is for a lot of people. People that have that, a deep faith in things, it gets them through. And I think that's great. If that's one of the tools in your toolkit, you use that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last question. What are some practical strategies to notice and challenge the negative thoughts I tend to believe automatically? I don't know why I just read it like that. So,
I
some
thought you were about
practical
to go automatic nervous system.
automatically. What are some practical strategies to notice and challenge the negative thoughts I tend to believe automatically? Okay. So, when negative thoughts just kind of like come to you automatically and spiral, um, that is here's the thing. This is practice. There's not just like one thing you're going to do. Like if this is happening to you and this has been like you have been having anxious thoughts and spirals for a lot of your life and this is the first time you're trying to learn about your thoughts and learning how to heal yourself. I'm not going to tell you, "Okay, so I just want you to sit down and like try and think, of something else. Try and distract yourself." Okay, that's all well and good for some other things too. But literally rewiring your brain takes practice. I mean, how many times have I said practice in today's episode? Okay. But it does. You literally I'm still doing it. I'm still working on it. Like everything I said in that other question of the things that I say that are mean to myself. I mean, those are intrusive thoughts I have that are completely automatic and they're just like negative. And every day I am trying to reprocess and rewire the way I think. And so it really takes, first of all, it takes awareness. You need to start becoming aware of what thoughts are the most intrusive for you. So, first of all, I would buy my book, okay, shameless plug, but buy the Anxiety Healer's Guide and start learning a lot about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, okay, because that's what's going to get you very, very in tune with how you think and your thought patterns. I want you to start learning about cognitive distortions. And all of this is in the book. So, I'm just saying these buzzwords that you might have never heard of, but um, also find a clinician in CBT if you feel like it's affecting your daily functioning because that can help. But learn about your cognitive distortions. Learn about um, reframing your thoughts when you feel like you're in this spiral. We have like 70,000 thoughts a day or something. So it's really hard to pinpoint sometimes when you're in the thick of it, like what is really the most intrusive that's happening in your brain. But sometimes it can be a bunch. So you have to break down, you have to do some brain dumps. You have to get whatever's in your mind out on paper and you have to look for patterns. You have to see what time of day, you have to keep track of like what times a day you're feeling more anxious in your body and your brain. When are you spiraling more? Like, is it when you don't sleep a lot? Is when you're with around certain people? Is it when you're at a certain environment? Is it what you avoid? Is it socially? Like there's just a lot you have to learn about yourself in order to learn more about the way you think. So there's not just one thing that's going to just take it away. You have to start getting really aware of how you feel too. So print out a feelings chart or buy my book and have it in there. And print out a feelings list and every day, 3 times a day, look at that list and identify how you're feeling and really start practicing using feeling words. Like I feel sad because I'm thinking about blank. I feel worried because I'm thinking about this. I feel scared because I'm thinking about this. Like I statements, trying to really get to the depths of the way you think. And then once you can actually identify some of your most intrusive thought patterns, like what kind of distorted thoughts are they? Are you having a lot of what ifs? Are you doing a lot of black and white thinking? Are you trying to predict the future all the time, jumping to conclusions? What are those? They're all errored thoughts because thoughts just are, right? Like I said before, thoughts are like little fish in a pond that we're looking at. Thoughts can't hurt us, right? But what we believe can hurt us is what creates anxiety. So you have to get very clear with becoming an observer of them, knowing that the thoughts aren't what controls you. Like you control the thoughts. So that was a lot. I know you're probably looking for like one little thing I'm going to give you, and I'm sorry, but I gave you a couple. But you got to start somewhere. So start with buying the Anxiety Healers. There's my shameless plug, and like I gave you basically the first chapter of the book in that little blurb right there that I just did. So,
I think what I just took from everything you just said is just start. And so for anybody who listened to today, I think some of the key words we heard were just start, practice, and keep going. And so for anybody listening, start today. I want you to start somewhere, wherever you're at, practice, don't give up, keep going, and know that each day you put in the time, you put in the practice, and you find yourself wherever you are in your healing journey, things will get better over time.
yeah, I love that. That's and getting into like the healing tip of the week. I love that. Maybe it's just the tip is just to start. And if you're not sure where to start, the one thing I would tell you to do is print out a feelings list and start getting very clear with how you're feeling on a daily basis and use that language. Start teaching yourself the language of emotions and start identifying more of how you are feeling instead of just saying, I'm anxious, I'm anxious, I'm anxious, which is fine and valid, but start becoming a lot more clearer with your language around emotions.
Yeah. I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, we'll see y'all next week. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Go rate our podcast, do all the things, get us out there, share with your friends. We love being here and talking with you guys. So see you next week.
Thanks
Bye.
so much for hanging out with us today.
We hope this episode reminded you that you're not alone and healing is always possible.
If something we shared helped you, the best way to support the show is to leave a review or share this episode with a friend who needs it.
And make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Anxiety Chicks for more support between episodes.
We're just two chicks on our own healing journeys, cheering you on every step of the way.
Until next time.
Take a deep breath. You've got this.